Hello you lovely people and welcome. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the Inibuilds Shorts SC.7 Skyvan. Now initially this was designed as a short haul freight and airliner, but would later become a very popular skydiving platform. In fact, I believe there are still some in use today. So a bit of history on the Skyvan. So like I say, it was designed as a short haul freight and airliner, and as you can see with the release, you get an airliner variant, a military variant, a skydive variant, and the one that really did it for me for some weird reason, the survey variant. So obviously the airliner variant was designed to carry a maximum of 19 passengers, and obviously with the design of the freight variant, but later would be changed to a skydive, and then Questor surveys in Canada would convert, I believe, 2 into survey platforms to survey the Northern Territories of Canada. So the original prototype was engined with a couple of Continental piston engines, but that was later re-engined in 1963 with Turbomeca Astazoo 2 turboprops, and then that would be later re-engined with the Turbomeca Astazoo 12s, and then finally during the Skyvan Series 3 production, it would then be re-engined to the Garrett TPE 331s, which this is, I believe, the Series 3 variant of it, powered by the Garretts. So we have a nice strong engine for a very strange looking aircraft, nicknamed the Flying Shoebox. Easy to see why, and it was very popular with short haul freight simply because of the opening at the back, which resembled apparently the rolling stock boxcar of the railway type. So it was easy to get things in and out. A very simplistic aircraft, nothing really majorly technical on it, as you'll see when we get in the cockpit. But it's nice to see something like this being brought into the sim, especially for those who aren't really into the high in-depth style procedures and things like that. This is very, very simplistic. So let's have a look at the liveries quickly. So for the airliner variant, we get 8 different types here. You will notice that there are no proper airline representations here, just the colours of the airlines. I'm not sure the reasoning behind that. Maybe it's a copyright thing, I don't know. But yeah, we do have various different colours. So we've got pink, yellow, blue, grey and blue, orange, red and blue, and space livery, whatever that means. If we go back to the cargo variants, we get 3. We get the olive green. We get similar to a sort of a Europe 1 camo, and then what I like to call I can't say the word really, but it's like a greyhound from the United States Navy, sort of weird, chunky with a black nose. Let's go to skydive. Liveries on that one, we get 3. We get a white livery with all of them, but I believe these 2 are real aircraft, have the liveries. I know that one is. I've definitely seen real photos of this one before. And then finally, finally with the survey variant, we do get the Questor surveys livery, but it doesn't say Questor on it at all. So In fact, I'm going to fly this one for the review. So let's jump in the cockpit. Right, so let's just take a look around the cockpit. As you can see, there is a lot of space. You're not crammed in here. So if we work our way from the left to the right, and we'll have a look at some of the stuff we've got here. So just move these bloody armrests out of the way, because they do get annoying. If you're using Xbox, be careful, because you can hit the trims with the armrest, and that can give you a very bad day, as one of my mates found out. Right, so we have our bleed air switches here. We have demist and passenger cold air switch, warm air select, cold air select. Down here we have our hydraulics for the brakes and the system pressures and emergency pressures there. Parking brake. Behind the tiller, or whatever it's called, which is used to steer the aircraft but can only be moved via the rudder pedals, we have a prop de-ice switch, windscreen wipers, and this is the rest of our anti-icing, so port and starboard POs, engine anti-ice again for the starboard engine, and then we've got airframe de-ice, and also interior light rear stat there. But that's just for instrument labelling lights. We do have a clock here that ticks stupidly loud, so loud that even when you're at full RPM on the turboprops you can still hear the clock ticking. So we have an electronic flight bag here. That yeah, we'll come to that once we're all started up. Behind here we have our hydraulics master switch and our fuel pump switches. Ident plate there that I believe can be changed. Turn slip indicator. Speed gauge. ADF NDB pointer. Artificial horizon. Our course and heading gauge there. Our vertical velocity indicator. Our altimeter. Over here we have our caution board, or annunciator panel. Then under that we have our torque pressures for both engines, RPMs for both engines, and fuel flow for both engines. Under that we have, this is the turbine gas temperature gauges, they're digital readouts. Then we have another temperature gauge there, and oil pressures for both engines. And then we've got a carbon copy for the other side. Now this is the interesting part, because you can have two variants of the cockpit. This being, I guess, the modern. So we've got a couple of GPS here and our transponder, and we can change that to a more classic look with the electronic flight bag, which I'll show you once we're started. We have a weather radar here. Over the far side, no other switches. In the middle here we have our throttles and our prop levers. We have a very simplistic autopilot, 3-axis autopilot, nothing complicated at all. Pretty much engage and then do what you want to do. You can turn the bank angle and hold a turn, or you can change your vertical speed with that and it will stick. And then we've got rudder trim, pitch trim here. At the top, let's start from the left. So we've got our internal batteries, so port starboard, and our generator switches here with the voltage gauges here. Internal start power, electrical master switch, and then our starter panel here, so engine start and ignition fuel, and then our proper starter switches here. Across here we've got lighting, externals, and seatbelt and no smoking. Across here we've got a couple of extras. We have we can drop, say drop the cargo ramp, it's not, it's raising the cargo ramp. We can switch the surveying switch on In this aircraft it will start a load of oscilloscope type things and laptops in the back, and then a jump light switch here. If we jump in the back of the Skydive variant and flick this switch, you will hear the countdown and then a beep for the skydivers. Up from that, this is apparently internal cockpit lighting, but it doesn't work for the survey variant, the cargo variant, or the skydive variant, but it does work for the airline variant. I'm not sure why. It should work for all, so that we have lighting all down the centre here. If you do a night flight, there's no illumination at all. I did try to report it, but I got told that it was this switch here, which I told them, but I don't know whether anybody's reported that at all or not. And then up here we have our feather switches for the props, and then our fuel cocks here, and then a balance cock here, and also a flight control lock lever here. So that's it for this part of the we do have a flap gauge there and a flap levers there, sorry. That's pretty much it for this version of the cockpit. And what I'm going to do now is flip to start up, and I'll flick this over to the classic version of it. Okay, so we're up and running. As you can see, we've got a nice clear annunciator panel there, so nothing to worry about. Got good starts on everything, and all systems are running as they should be. Our weather radar is up and running with ground mapping on as well. Both the GPSs are running okay, and you can see we've got our transponder up and running. We have our digital readouts as well for the turbine gas temperatures, both reading 249 degrees. And you can see we've got our electronic flight bag, and that's up and running. And you can turn it on and off here, change brightness with this button here. We can do a METAR search with the ICAO codes, and we do checklists. In ground we can open both captain door and flying officers doors. They're back here. It's really weird. The doors are pretty strange on this thing. They're at the back here. I'll show you those in a moment. You can open all the ramp and everything with this one, and you light the cargo bay up with this slider here as well. And then on map, that's pretty much a repeater of what's on the GPS. And if we go into options, classic cockpit, no or yes. Well, I'm going to click yes. We'll zoom out. As you can see, we've got our classic radios back, which is how it should be really with this version. So as you can see, the transponder stays the same. We still have the weather radar, but no GPSs, which is great. Up here we have our ADF radio panel there. We've got comms 1, comms 2, nav 1, nav 2, and then all our audio select buttons down here for the radios. So this is how I like to set up. This is the setup I like when I'm flying. It's an old school plane, should be flown the old school way. So in the back of this aircraft, the survey one, we have laptops and all oscilloscope type things in the back. I'll show you that now, and that's without the survey switch flicked. And if we come back to the front, we flick the survey switch, which is the middle one here, go back in the back. As you can see now, everything's up and running. It's just a repeater of what's on the what would be on the GPSs, and like I say, sort of oscilloscope type wavelength readings on survey equipment. There are different versions, obviously. Like I say, the livery, I'll show you the livery one now. That has seating for 12 people plus a member of cabin crew on a jump seat. And if we go over to the military variant, you can see that we have seating for 7 passengers, 3 bunks, and also 3 side seat. And if we go over to the skydive variant, as you can see, you've got skydivers there. Okay, so let's get this thing up in the air. So I'm just going to take the parking brake off, and all I'm going to do is advance the props to the taxi position, and once they gain their proper torque and RPM, you'll see that we don't really need any throttle at all, because the props do all the work for us. So I'm just going to taxi out to the runway. And ground handling is lovely for this. For all variants, it's very simple. Not too heavy, not too light. What you'd expect for something from an aircraft this size, and especially because that nose wheel is right at the tip of the nose, very responsive. So you don't need to be overzealous with it. Braking is good and sharp. Okay, you will need to be ready on the brakes because this thing does like to taxi pretty quickly. In fact, when we get to the end, I am going to jump outside and let you listen to the sounds and have a look at the aircraft itself, because we haven't actually done that yet. Jumping ahead of myself. So we're going to wait here at the end of 2.7 and jump outside. So as you can see, on the outside of the survey variant, very odd looking aircraft, we have what looks like some sort of aerials running from wingtip to posts in a complete coverage around the aircraft. In the Questor surveys livery, just without it saying it on there. These are our little Garrett engines. I think the textures look great on it, and it looks pretty weathered. And the liveries vary quite a lot on the from variant to variant, which is quite nice. And the skydive variants, the liveries on those are so well done, it's unbelievable. So let's just have a listen to the sound. So I'm going to rev up the engines, put the parking brake on for a second. Can't rev up too much because the garage tried to pull the tyres off the wheels. Okay, that's Max Chatter Taxi. So I'm just going to I think the sounds are really good as well. Let's bring them right back down to idle. Excellent stuff. Just jump back inside the cockpit. So I do have a flight in mind. We are at Norwich Airport, or ex-RAF Horsham St Faith, an ex-Meteor base from back in the day. And going to take off. We are going to head in a northeasterly direction towards our ex-RAF Cultural, which was our main Jaguar base, and just do an overflight there and then come back to Norwich Airport. And yeah, let's get the brakes off, taxi out, taxi lights on, all zero down, good. Sails lined up. Okay, maybe off centre slightly, but it doesn't matter too much. Okay, so parking brakes on for a second. Temperatures are good. All the gauges are good there. Pressures are good. Okay. So power up. Flaps in takeoff. Okay, brakes off, prop pitch forward. Wait for the bite. Go. Flaps up. Trim out because this thing will go nose high. Jack flaps fully. Okay, we're going to climb to about 1,500 feet, and then I'm going to move over to the autopilot. So we're back over Norwich Airport, and like I say, if we head in northeasterly direction, you'll see RAF Cultural is just there. Timed out a bit late. Plenty of time to correct it though. Doing a little bit of a figure eight. In fact, take it off autopilot for a second. I'm just going to do a control authority test. So just over 140 knots, as you'd expect from something like this. It's not over the top, both in pitch, yaw and roll. Is pretty much very nice, very nicely zoned in control authority for all three axes, and very simple to fly, very easy to fly. Just going to fly down the runway at RAF Cultural and then come round back to Norwich into land, and should bring us back onto 7. Shadow of its former self. It really was a great base to visit. Right then, so we'll start heading back for Norwich. I'm just going to head east for now. Go for 11090. Should be the ILS for Norwich. Back on 27. Glide slip indicator there, and this will be the obviously localizer indicator where the CDI will slip either left or right, telling us where we need to go. So start turning in now. Just make sure everything is how it should be. Everything's in the green. Excellent. Turn south for now. Norwich is just over there. You certainly feel the turbulence in this thing, that's for sure. Start turning in towards the airport in a second. CDI should start kicking in a minute. Go. And I really miscalculated that one. It's okay, plenty of time to line up. Landing lights on. Oops. Start getting the flaps down. Take off the autopilot. Gonna land this one manually. Slightly above the glide slope, bringing those down. glide slope. Getting below it now. Flaps in landing position. Trim out. Won't be climbing. Just trying to stay on glide slope. Down. Now we do have reverse thrust, but we don't really need it, to be fair. But it's there if you do want it. Just go back and park up where we were. I love it when guys are standing in your parking spot. I'll stick it here. Parking brakes on. Alright, summary. So summarising the Inibuilds shorts SC.7 Skyvan. Well, it's a great little plane. I don't see any problems with it at all. Anyone who wants to start with airliners, this is a great starting point. Learn the basics, move on to something a bit heavier. But yeah, it's different. It's going to handle a bit odd because of the shape of the actual aircraft itself. It hits the turbulence a lot harder than most, and it's a great little flyer, very responsive. Engines respond very quickly, and the sounds are good. The model itself is good. The textures are great. The amount of variants you get is nice as well. 4 different variants, and there's a lot of variety, and it's a versatile little aircraft. I mean, it's great to try and get into short strips, short hops around islands maybe. I don't know, use your imagination. You can pretty much get this thing into most little airstrips, especially with the reverse thrust. The reverse thrust is a bit awkward sometimes to kick in, and there seems to be an issue with the glide slope not being captured by the autopilot. Localizer, no issue at all. It doesn't like to follow the glide slope. It just keeps carrying on at whatever altitude you're flying at. So I don't know if that's a bug or something that needs addressing later on, or if I'm doing something wrong, which is probably the case. But the buttons don't seem to like to stay down on that, so I don't know. Maybe somebody out there will know. Well, somebody will know more than what I do. But yeah, it's a great little aircraft. Quite surprised by the release. I didn't know it was coming out until the day of release, and the price of £12, I think it's a fabulous little package for the variety that you get, and things like that. It is a fun little aircraft. I've done a couple of multi-flights with other people, and it's always been good fun. You could do your own version of bush flying with it, although I wouldn't recommend the actual bush flying part of it myself in it, but something a little bit more upscaled for the size of the aircraft, obviously. But it's a great fun little thing, and especially with the survey variant, which is very odd, which is what initially made me want to get it. I like odd aircraft. So yeah, if you want a fun little flyer for a cheap price with a lot of variety, and you're not an expert and you want to get into perhaps a little bit more than just get in with it already started, and you want to learn star procedures and things, this is perfect. Great beginner airliner slash cargo aircraft for anyone who wants to learn the ropes. Great fun for anybody who wants something a little bit different. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there because I've waffled on for too long. But for £12 on the marketplace, I can't complain at that at all. So yeah, I hope you got something from this video, and as always, take care, and I'll catch you in the next one.